Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. The Sunken City. Marine scientists in India believe they have discovered the archaeological remains of a lost city in the Gulf of Cambay. They say the city dates back 9,500 years. That's so old that the sunken civilization would have been just as mysterious and mystical to the ancient Egyptians as they are to us today. It's a shocking discovery that could rewrite history if it turns out to be correct. The vast city is about 5 miles long. It appears to be the oldest known remnant of civilization on the subcontinent. It was found by chance when researchers from India's National Institute of Ocean Technology conducted a survey on pollution and uncovered objects underwater using side-scan sonar. They found huge geometric structures at a depth of roughly 120 feet. When they explored even deeper into the Gulf and analyzed artifacts, things like sculptures, human bones, and pottery scraps, they dated the site at over 9,000 years minimum. The city likely belonged to a civilization even older than the Harappan, who are considered the first advanced society in India 4,000 years ago. They flourished at the dawn of civilization, and yet this sunken city is proof of an even older civilization, just as advanced as the Harappan. This story first broke in 2002, picked up by major news outlets like the BBC. However, it's been over 20 years since the original discovery, and it appears to have been swept under the rug. Something mysterious was found off the coast of India. It was carbon dated as ancient, and then nobody ever went back to check. We haven't gotten a single update. I am excited to announce today's sponsor, Aura. Scammers have gotten really smart these days, and it's easy to fall for an email or a pop-up if you aren't paying attention. If you're like me, you probably order a lot of things online. One time when I was waiting for some sound equipment, I got a notification that the package was marked as delivered by the seller, even though my package hadn't arrived yet. Since I was expecting a few packages at the same time, I wasn't really paying close attention. At around the same time, I got an email from UPS or FedEx, I forget which one, saying that I had to pay to clear it. It looked legitimate, but since when do you have to pay? Things like this happen all the time, and if you aren't sure, that's where Aura can help. Aura is an app that includes everything you need to stay safe online. Their app can be a lifesaver by scanning the dark web, where criminals sell stolen information looking for where your emails, passwords, phone numbers, and social security numbers are stored. Then automatically alerts you when it finds anything. Start fighting back against scammers, get real-time alerts on suspicious credit activity, protect your devices from malware and viruses, and let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online. If you sign up right now, Aura will give you a 2-week free trial with my link. You'll be shocked at how much of your private information Aura finds exposed over those 2 weeks. Go to aura.com/origins to start your free trial, or click on the link in the description box below, or simply scan the QR code. Number 9. Ancient Cave Skeleton. A prehistoric skeleton was recently found in a flooded cave system on Mexico's Caribbean coast. The skeleton is shockingly ancient, going back about 8,000 years. That was when the cave flooded, right after the end of the last ice age. Archaeologist Octavio del Rio was one of the men behind the discovery. He came across a shattered skull and bone fragments lightly covered in sediment at the bottom of the cave. Given the distance between the entrance to the cavern and the place where the skeleton was found, there was no way the person could have gotten there 8,000 years ago. Unless this person was related to Aquaman, they weren't about to swim that deep. They were found under 26 feet of water and 1/3 of a mile into the underground labyrinth. This means the individual must have walked into the cave, or at least been carried inside and buried. But as of right now, we don't know anything about them or the situation surrounding their demise. The cave where their bones were found is near Mexico's new Maya train tourism project. The government recently cut down a massive chunk of forest to make room for the train, very near to where the flooded cave is. As of right now, the government appears more interested in finishing their train project than fully investigating the underwater cave system, which is in danger of being destroyed. Number 8. Underwater volcano. In mid-November 2022, scientists identified an underwater volcano that started erupting in the Pacific Ocean. The volcanic eruption, as of November 16th, has been ongoing since October in the Mariana Trench. At least that's what scientists think. But because the volcano is in such an inaccessible location, so deep and so difficult to study, they can't even say for sure if it's truly erupting. It's all been incredibly confusing and a little scary. Scientists with the U.S. Geological Survey announced that they believe seismic activity started in the middle of October on the Ayi Seamount, located within the northern Mariana Islands. But they couldn't figure out if it was a series of underwater earthquakes, if some material exploded out of the volcanic crater, or if there was a real eruption rumbling hundreds of feet beneath the surface. Matt Haney, a geologist with the U.S. Geological Survey, warned seafarers and boaters to avoid the area in case the eruption suddenly becomes large and turns into a boiling underwater cauldron. The scariest part of this whole ordeal is realizing that scientists can't always tell when underwater volcanoes are going to go off. And if they can't figure out when an active volcano is in the process of erupting, how are they supposed to anticipate when an undersea volcano decides it's going to erupt on an apocalyptic scale? And now for number 7. But first, it's shoutout time! I want to say a big thank you to Mama Lisa 104 and Hugo Francisco for supporting this channel. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe for more videos like these. Number 7. The warship Musashi. Paul Allen, the co-founder of Microsoft, likes to spend his time searching for lost vessels under the sea. The US billionaire recently discovered the biggest Japanese warship that sank during World War II. Off the coast of the Philippines, he found what some historians believe was the most powerful battleship ever built. The Musashi is considered the most heavily armed warship that ever set sail. It was designed specifically to take on multiple enemies at the same time. The ship launched in November of 1940. It was 863 feet long, 73,000 tons, and carried a crew of 2,500. But it was the terrifying weapons aboard that made the Musashi such a frightening machine of war. It had 9 46-centimeter cannons that could fire 1,461-kilogram armor-piercing shells. These could be fired at a range of 42 kilometers. These are the biggest caliber guns ever fitted onto a warship. But despite its massive guns, the Musashi was not indestructible. It was attacked on October 18, 1944, absolutely ravaged by the US Navy. Because the Japanese had focused so heavily on their ships, they didn't have a lot of aircrafts to defend against airborne attacks. Their ships were worthless without cover from the air. They were utterly bombarded and the Musashi was destroyed. Following the sinking, nobody really knew where the ship's exact location was. Everyone knew it was somewhere at the bottom of the ocean, but not the exact position. Paul Allen finally discovered the ship, totally encrusted with sea creatures and about half a mile deep. Number 6. The Challenger. A group of researchers were exploring the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean searching for World War II artifacts in 2022. What they found instead was a piece of debris from a spaceship. This wasn't some mysterious metallic scrap from the potential UFO. It was a real piece of debris from the space shuttle Challenger. As you might remember, the Challenger blew up after takeoff in 1986, killing all 7 crew members and traumatizing the world. A lot of people watched the Challenger space shuttle launch live on their colored TVs and witnessed the sudden and unexpected deaths of the crew as the space shuttle burst into flames. Even students in school watched the launch that morning and saw the shuttle disintegrate into a ball of fire. Mike Barnett, an experienced underwater explorer, was the one leading the crew that found the artifact. He said it was sobering to realize what they had discovered, the first piece of Challenger debris since the shuttle washed ashore in 1996. Experts are now figuring out what to do with the artifact and how to proceed in a way that's respectful for the fallen astronauts and their legacy. Number 5. Giant shark tooth. Researchers with Ocean Exploration Trust were participating in an expedition to explore the biology of the deep sea about 150 miles south from Johnston Atoll in the Pacific Ocean. During their expedition, they found a single tooth that belonged to the biggest shark that ever lived. The Johnston Atoll is an unincorporated territory of the United States near Hawaii. The research team was inspecting rocks 10,000 feet beneath the surface using a remotely operated submarine. This was on a seamount, the top of an underwater mountain that had never before been explored. While poking through the rocks, they came across a megalodon tooth. It's not rare to find a tooth from a megalodon. After all, these things were some of the fiercest predators that ever roamed the seas, and they did so for a very long time. They lived from between about 23 to 3.6 million years ago. They were also over 3 times bigger than the great white shark, and just as prolific in all the world's oceans. But because their bodies were made primarily of cartilage, the only thing that has survived is teeth. That's why megalodon teeth are found so frequently. Have you ever found one? Let me know in the comments below. Number 4. The HMS Glouster. On May 6, 1682, a warship ran aground off the coast of England. At the time, the ship was carrying James Stewart, who would go on to become the King of England, and 329 other people. It was called the HMS Glouster, and it was quickly covered over in the shifting sands on the seabed and lost to history. It wouldn't be until 340 years later that modern archaeologists discovered the sunken ship, along with unopened wine bottles still on board. Claire Jowett, a professor at the University of East Anglia, called it the most exciting maritime discovery since the Mary Rose in 1982. Researchers have already found naval equipment, clothing, random shoes, and quite a few bottles of wine. These wine bottles bear the seal of George Washington's ancestors, the Ledge family. The crest is the same design that inspired the stars and stripes on the original US flag. The HMS Glouster was a truly mighty warship when it first launched in 1654 with the English Royal Navy. It had 50 guns, but those guns proved to be useless against the sand. When it sank, it took about 250 people with it. The sinking almost changed the course of history. If James Stewart had died and never become James II of England, who knows how different things would be? Even just the death of a single king could have dramatically changed history as we know it. Number 3. Deep Sea Giant. A new variety of deep-sea monster has just been found in the Gulf of Mexico. An international team of researchers identified a new species of Bathonymus, a type of aquatic isopod. It's a primitive deep-sea crustacean, and the poor thing is beyond ugly. This thing is horrendous to look at, like a disturbing 14-legged creature from space. It was found by a research team with the Department of Biological Sciences and Technology in Tainan City, Taiwan. They found the creature inhabiting an area rarely seen by humans, so deep it's only been explored with deep-sea probes. By far, the scariest characteristic of the newly discovered isopod is its size. It's a whopping 10 inches long, nearly a foot long. It's like a pill bug or a roly-poly, the tiny isopods you can find in just about any garden across North America, only this one is the size of an average person's foot. It's a truly gigantic creepy crawly. The good news is that you are likely never to see one unless you grow gills and move into the deep ocean off the coast of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. Number 2. The sunken Maya. Off the coast of Belize, underwater researchers just completed excavations to reveal shocking new insights into the Maya civilization. Specifically, their manufacturing of salt. Just like how modern nations have their most important exports, the one commodity that keeps their economy rolling, so too did the Maya have their specialization. Theirs was salt, such an important material that it kept the gears of their empire turning smoothly for centuries. The discovery was made at the archaeological site of Ta'ab Nukna, inhabited starting around the year 600 AD. It's in the larger area of Paynes Creek, which itself is home to an estimated 110 submerged Maya sites. There are towns, buildings, what may be palaces and temples, all sunken and utterly destroyed. Coastal Belize was a major hub for activity. The Maya people settled all along the coastline about 1500 years ago, maybe even earlier. But after the collapse of their civilization, starting in the year 900 AD, the sea levels began to rise. As that happened, the coastal Maya settlements were all flooded or sucked into the ocean and obliterated. The largest of these submerged sites is Ta'ab Nukna. Researchers from Louisiana State University carried out a seafloor survey and uncovered kitchens that had once been used for boiling brine. Under the surface of what looks like a coastal swamp, archaeologists found the vestiges of ceramic vessels and other tools used in the production of salt. Salt water was taken from the ocean, then heated over a fire until the water evaporated, leaving nothing but the salt. They then used this hot commodity as a trading item. They traded the salt with other Maya kingdoms who lived in landlocked jungles, places far from the ocean that didn't have access to salt. This single commodity encouraged a vast trading network that kept the Maya civilization thriving. Number 1. Mysterious goo. Researchers with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration were puzzled when they came across mysterious blue blobs of goo at the bottom of the ocean. It was in August of 2022 when expedition team members came across the blue goo on the seafloor in the Caribbean. They were piloting a remotely operated vehicle near St. Croix, one of the U.S. Virgin Islands, when they found the weird goo blobs sitting motionless on the bottom of the sea. This was at a depth of between 1,335 and 2,000 feet. The researchers piloting the vessel had recently spent about 4 months investigating deep sections of the North Atlantic, but finding these blue globular balls proved to be one of the strangest things yet. They first thought they might be soft coral or sea sponges, but because they weren't able to physically touch them or bring them back to the surface, that was impossible to confirm. The blue globs looked incredibly bizarre, like squishy clumps of ocean snot. The team nicknamed them bumpy blue things. But believe it or not, the bumpy blue things were probably alive. They were most likely tunicates, gelatinous, squishy marine creatures sometimes called sea squirts. Even though it looked like a dog's discarded chew toy, it was most likely a living, functioning invertebrate. Thanks for watching! What do you think is the creepiest thing to find at the bottom of the ocean? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Come back soon! Bye!